Speaker, if you go by the Drug Observatory report, the number of people admitted to public hospitals for drug abuse, overdose, this is the only figure we have because we don't know how many drug addicts there are. But we know how many have been admitted to public hospitals. That, Madam Speaker, went up again in 2016 over 2015 by 66% and 2017 by another nearly 50%. I'd like to ask the Honourable Prime Minister whether there is what is happening with the drug issue. All these drugs are being seized. We agree, mostly by MRA, by the way. We agree. What is the reason why there are so many more drug addicts in the country going to the hospitals? Why?
Well, this question should be asked, put to the population, and especially parents who have no control whatsoever now on their children, and many of them are having recourse to drugs.
Madam Speaker, isn't it the truth that whereas the police is concentrating on ganja and all that, anyone in the drug trade, the drug control situation will tell you that it is synthetic drugs and new types of drugs which are affecting the population. Indeed, in the drug report, the Honourable Minister Mentor says, I read it, he will know that 44% of the people admitted now are for new drugs. So the fight against synthetic drugs appears to be totally lost by the police.
Well, everything possible is being done, and the police have been told are trying to get new instruments and to be able to detect the synthetic drug, because this is something new, and we must confess that the police did not have all the necessary tools in order to detect this synthetic drug, and we must have some patience.
Madam Speaker, 51% of the people arrested are under 24 at the moment, so far as drugs are concerned, and we are losing the fight against drugs, according to figures published by the government itself, Madam Speaker. Well, I'd like to also know, Mr. Mentor, what is being done to reduce the time between arrest and prosecution, which is hugely responsible for the drop in guilty verdicts because people forget, change their minds, etc.
Well, we have no control on the judiciary. They take their time. We have to accept it.
Time taken for the inquiry itself. Forget the courts. We know you are not responsible for the courts directly. But what is the reason for such a long delay with the inquiry, and what are you doing about reducing that delay?
Well, there is not long delay in the inquiry. There is a certain procedure that should be followed. It is being done, and in most cases, the file is sent to the DPP advises, and very often, even at the DPP, they take quite some time. So, yeah.
Speaker, I'd like to ask Honourable Mr. Mentor. The Attorney General said on 3rd February, les procédures sont dépassées dans la lutte contre la criminalité. And he promised something called a Police and Criminal Justice Bill for March. It's 4 months ago. May we know where, as Minister for the Police, where is the Police and Criminal Justice Bill, please?
Well, I understand it's coming, it's on the way.
Maybe we should ring the bell also for that. Madam Speaker, is the Honourable Mr. Mentor aware of the tremendous infighting in the police force at the moment? With these denunciations, anonymous letters flying around everywhere, between the DCPs themselves, and even against the Commissioner of Police. Is he aware of that? And what is being done to bring the team spirit back into the police force, especially in the highest ranks?
Well, I suppose we must get an ombudsman for the police.
Yes, you should maybe, because is the Honourable Minister Mentor aware that in the last Afrobarometer study, trust in the police force has fallen to just 50% of the population. That is 50% of the population don't believe in the police, 50% do. What is being done by the present Commissioner of Police, by yourself, to increase trust in the police?
Well, if that is so, I think the whole blame is on the previous government. They did nothing.
Madam Speaker, things are getting much worse under him, and it's the first time we have a dedicated police minister. And it's getting much worse, easily proven, including robbery and theft, and was taken l'ascenseur. Speaker, the list given has resulted in a rise in theft, a rise in robbery, a fall in conviction rate, guilty verdicts, and a rise in reoffending rate. Something obviously is going wrong, and I'd like to ask the Honourable Prime Minister whether this certificate of character which came up was amended slightly for the private sector only recently, ought not to be done away with, as in UK, except for very specific jobs to do with children, for instance, whether certificates should not be done away, whether there shouldn't be adequate accompagnement and counseling and reinsertion, because reoffending prisoners and convicts, Madam Speaker, are a real danger to this nation.
I've already answered all this, what is being done. I can't see what we can do more. Counseling, we'll go house to counsel.
Yes.
Were you doing it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was better. Well, better before. It was better, you asked me. It was better before. This is the truth of the matter. You have to accept it. This is the truth of the matter. Madam Speaker, as far as sentencing policy is concerned, whether something should not be done about that, because that's also legislation. Because the Drug Observatory reports that 68% to do with drugs, of people who have been sent to prison in 2017, 68% were for possession of drugs. That's on page 9 of the report, if you'd like to look at this. Isn't that creating criminals from people who are sick, who are consuming drugs, and when they come out of prison, they become hardened criminals? So isn't it time to look at the sentencing procedure, as Monseigneur Platt, as everybody, all the religious groups, etc., have asked for?
First of all, we must deal with traffickers. And so far I'm concerned, I would have reintroduced death sentence for traffickers.
We are talking about possession, Madam Speaker. I'd like to ask the Honourable Minister Mento, this is possession. You know there's a difference between possession and trafficking. Talking about possession.
Trafficking, there is no possession.
Madam Speaker, the question to the Honourable Minister Mento, which is a serious question, is a question whether or not we should stop sentencing people for possession of drugs. That is the question.
I think we should keep on sentencing, and sentences must become more severe.